The Columbia River Gorge is a breathtakingly beautiful area. It has stunning scenery and plenty of outdoor activities. So for many investors, this can seem like the perfect place to start a short-term rental business for Airbnb or VRBO. But there are definitely some things that you need to consider when starting a short-term rental business in the Gorge. There are so many beautiful types of properties in the Gorge, from beautiful riverfront cabins to downtown industrial lofts to rugged, raw pieces of land. And for a successful short-term rental, the atmosphere of your property can make or break your bookings. And of course, it's important to consider where people like to visit in the Gorge. Hood River, White Salmon, and the immediate surrounding areas are the most popular places for tourists visiting the Gorge, but Airbnbs in the Dalles, Goldendale, or more remote locations can also be successful if they're the right kind of property and they get purchased at the right price. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Ray Sturbaugh. I'm a local realtor here in the Columbia River Gorge. I help a lot of buyers relocate to the Columbia River Gorge. So if you're someone who's thinking about making a move here or starting a short-term rental here, give me a text or email and I'd love to help you out. Price is, of course, another major consideration, and in this gorge, this tends to be a hefty one, although it does vary widely throughout the gorge. This commercially zoned, centrally located townhome I just co-listed recently sold for $1.12 million in Hood River, while my clients recently purchased a 10-acre property of land in Lisle, Washington, next to a renowned winery that had a major fixer-upper for just $385,000. Both of these properties had more favorable regulations around short-term rentals, which factored into their sales price. And the Gorge is regulating short-term rentals more and more. While some areas like Clickitat County, which has no regulations, no permitting process, and operates on a complaint system, are more lax, other places like Hood River are more strict. Hood River just passed a law that will only allow short-term rental in a permanent residence or a commercially zoned building. And according to the county planner in a recent meeting I was in, there are 84 short-term rentals in Hood River that will no longer be able to operate after October when this law begins to be put into action. The regulations here can make it nearly impossible to start a short-term rental business in cities like Hood River, Oregon, or White Salmon, Washington, but cities like the Dalles, Oregon, and broader Clickitat County are easier to work with. And I know what you're thinking. These cities are very good at knowing if you're renting out your home, and they will track you down and they will fine you. As you can see, regulation varies greatly across the gorge, and also what types of things are regulated varies as well. Depending on where you buy your property, the rules will also vary on how many days you can short-term rent, what kinds of property you can short-term rent, and what the permitting process for your short-term rental will look like. In addition to city, county, and state regulations, many properties in the gorge also fall into the Columbia River Gorge Commission. This interstate board establishes, implements, and enforces policies and programs to enhance the scenic, natural, recreational, and cultural resources of the gorge. You can think of them kind of like an HOA. For homes that fall into this commission, they regulate things like what you can build, what color you can paint your home, tree removal, property use, and yes, of course, short-term rental permitting. And it's worth noting that properties in the Gorge Commission can only be rented for 90 calendar days per year. That being said, our high tourist season is in the summer, so the 90 days can get you pretty much through the entire tourist season. Most people consider zoning a total snooze fest, but I am a zoning nerd. And if you're thinking about investing your hard-earned money into a rental property, you definitely want to understand the rules and restrictions in the zoning. I've heard a lot of online Airbnb gurus say buy a piece of land, plop a tent or a tiny home on there, and start rolling in the dough. But it's important to keep in mind that many cities in the gorge do not allow these structures at all. And for those that do, there are additional regulations around whether or not you can rent them and if you can short-term rent them. While the gorge has a great tourism industry and may seem like an amazing place to start a short-term rental, So there are definitely a lot of factors you have to keep in mind when you're thinking about starting a short-term rental business here. My advice is to take your time and do your research. Each property and each situation is unique, and you want to make sure that you're getting in at a right price that can be profitable for you. And you should work with a local realtor like myself to help you navigate all the rules and regulations. Thank you so much for watching. You can click here for more or subscribe below.